This is the Fantasy Roadshow.
Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of the Fantasy Roadshow with your boys here. You can call me Truck, and I'm joined, as always, by the infamous, the wonderful Shane O'Mac. And today we are celebrating Halloween. Is a happy Halloween to everyone out there watching this on this wonderful Friday. We're here talking about red light, green light, week 9, players we like, players we don't like. But before we get into that, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, follow us on social media, and make sure you check out the Substack, thefantasyroadshow.substack.com. Shane O'Mac, you're the guy from Top Gun. Iceman?
Iceman, yeah.
Iceman, okay.
Yeah.
I have a bit of a confession to make. Never watched the original Top Gun.
Oh, my gosh.
And I never watched the new one with Tom Cruise.
Oh, my gosh. Wow.
So I know that's a big beef on my part. I know it's a good movie. I'm sure it is. I hear a lot about it, and cult classic and whatnot. And Tom Cruise is a legend, but yeah, I just never really saw it. But my costume, if you couldn't tell, I am Caleb Williams. Got my little nails painted, got my jersey on, ready to go for this Halloween.
Let's just hope that, unlike Caleb, you will have good takes past the first scripted set of takes. Unlike Caleb, who struggles after the first series of scripted plays.
Yeah, going off the cuff. Not very good off the cuff and in the rhythm of the game. Yeah, that's tough. I greenlit him out last week, and that didn't work out. I think it was quarterback 20 or something. It was not good. Ravens defense came alive out of nowhere, so... but anyway, that's neither here nor there. We're talking week 9. We moved on from week 8. We're talking week 9 now. We're going to get into the nitty-gritty details. And we're going to go ahead and start with quarterbacks. Green light quarterbacks. Shane, who is your week 9 green light quarterback?
The first guy I like, and it's a theme here, I go back to home Goff. Home Goff goes back home. He's going against a Vikings defense that has been bad on the road. I mean, we just saw them on the road against the Chargers. Justin Herbert put up over 25 fantasy points against them, carved them up. I think this will be a 3-touchdown, near 300-yard game for Goff easily.
Yeah, I mean, it's the common theme of this season and previous seasons, of course, but the road and home Goff, indoor, outdoor Goff, he is at home in a dome. You got to start him. Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. He's definitely on my list for green light quarterbacks this week. My green light quarterback this week is Kyler Murray. Okay, Kyler Murray going against your Dallas Cowboys on the road in Dallas. Look, he missed the last 2 games because of a foot injury, but he's coming back this week, it looks like, barring any setbacks. But, look, I think he's a must-start against the Cowboys. The Cowboys' defense is bad, as you know, along with everybody else. They've allowed 17-plus points to 8 different quarterbacks. Look, Kyler Murray can get it done with his feet. He can get it done in the air. And I think Kyler's going to be a must-start this week. I think that game's going to be rather close. We'll see what happens. I still like the Cowboys to win, but I think the Cardinals are good enough to make it a high-scoring affair and score some fantasy points for you.
Little-known fact, dating back all the way to his high school through college, Kyler Murray has never lost at AT&T Stadium.
That's true. I remember hearing about that, but, I mean, that's just such a ridiculous stat. Dating back to what, when he was 8 playing Pop Warner football, you know? But, yeah, this could be his first loss. I don't know, but the Cardinals are a dangerous team going against a bad defense in the Cowboys. So I like Kyler Murray, and I love Jared Goff as well. So I think those guys are good to go. Did you have any other ones that you wanted to mention before we move on?
The other one real mention, I like Daniel Jones back again this week. He's facing the second worst defense against fantasy quarterbacks. I think unlike last week when I red lighted him because I thought they would be in a run-heavy script, this should be a closer game where he's still throwing a lot. So he should be back to being a top 10 quarterback.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Also, if Joe Flacco plays, I'm not sure that he will. I haven't seen very good things about it, but if he does play, I think he's going to put up great fantasy points against my terrible Chicago Bears defense. So,
for sure.
Unfortunately, but let's move over to red light quarterback. Shane, who is your red light quarterback for week 9?
All right. The plaque for alternative starts is down in the ladies' room, guys. You're not going to get that reference, obviously, since you haven't seen the movie. But maybe Joey. Hey, Joey, right out there, the movie buff, he would definitely get it. So, Joey, can you give me a little attaboy for the quote there, working it in? I am going to go with Jordan Love here. And kind of like my Daniel Jones pick last week, this is less about Love, more about game script. Carolina's allowing just 16 fantasy points a game to quarterbacks. That's not because they have a great defense. It's because everybody's running on them. We saw it earlier in the year. Drake May barely got over 200 yards. I think it was like 203 throwing against them. Even last week, Josh Allen kind of got lucky with some of his points. He had 2 1-yard scores. And I think at least one of those, or maybe both of those, like they tried to run it in and were stopped, and then they just pushed him in. So this is going to be more of a Josh Jacobs game than a Jordan Love game.
Yeah, I love Josh Jacobs this week. I think you're right. I clearly don't have a good read on Jordan Love. I red-lit him last week, and he just torched he went on scorched earth and just completely threw I think 360 yards and 3 touchdowns. And part of that was because Tucker Kraft is an absolute dog. However, I believe you're right. I think this might be the week to sit him instead of last week. So, yeah. But I don't have a good read on him. So either way, Bo Nix is my red light quarterback for week 9. Look, Bo Nix, it's tough to sit him, right? He scored over 23 fantasy points in back-to-back games, but this week taking on the Texans, it's in Houston. Look, we saw what the Houston Texans did last week, which was kind of shock everybody and kind of blow the doors off blow the doors off that game. But Bo Nix, he hasn't shown much this year where I'm like starting him no matter what. He's very matchup dependent for me, and this is a matchup for me that is a no-go on paper. I mean, they've 2 quarterbacks have scored over 13 fantasy points against the Houston Texans this year. Only 2. So I don't like Bo's chances this week to score some points.
Yeah, that Houston defense, because I thought the same thing with Knicks. They're giving up less than 15 points a game all year. So they're just not allowing teams to score much. I mean, when you've got 2 great pass rushers and a great corner, that's a tough spot.
Yes. Yeah, I agree with that as well. Yep. So, yeah, Bo Nix, Jordan Love, no good. CJ Stroud going against the Broncos, just that matchup in general with the Texans and the Broncos, just kind of a red light game altogether. Yeah. I think that's just going to get ugly. Aaron Rodgers going against the Colts. I think the Colts are going to dominate them. Nobody's starting Geno Smith or Michael Penix, but did you have any other ones you wanted to mention?
No, I had the same thoughts as you in that game. I think you summed it up. That's a red light game. I feel that's like a 2017 game, probably at most.
Absolutely. I think so as well.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move over to running backs. Shane, who is your green light running back of week 9?
First guy I'm going to go with is Bam Knight. And
ooh, I love it.
I just think a couple of things. Like we saw before the bye, he was the clear kind of RB1. He was doubled the touches of Michael Carter. He had, I think it was almost 60 rushing yards. I think Carter had like 10. And then just the matchups. Cowboys have just been this dream matchup for running backs. I mean, they just gave up 3 touchdowns to the Denver running backs last week. And I don't know if you saw those touchdowns, like the one that RJ Harvey had. I don't think that guy was even touched the whole 50-yard run. It was just so bad. They're giving up the 4th most fantasy points to the position. I just think this game is going to set up for him to probably get, 15, 17 PPR points.
Yeah, I was watching the game, and I was actually going against him in another league, and it just seemed like the whole offense, like he was just such a big part of that offense. Like Bam was just all over the field.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great call. He's someone I penciled in. I didn't have him on my final list, but I just think he's a massive piece to that offense right now. So, look to get him going. My green light running back this week, although I do like DeAndre Swift and I green lit him last week, He's been a top 15 guy for the last 3 weeks in a row, and he should have a great game this week. I am not going to talk about DeAndre Swift right now. I'm going to talk about Kimani Vidal. Kimani, look, over 117 yards in 2 of the last 3 games. I mean, the game in between only had 20 yards, not great, but still, last game and the game against Miami, this guy was just absolutely dominant. 18 plus carries all over the field. Almost 6.5 yards per carry. Look, this week I think he's in line for a really good matchup against the Titans, and I think the Chargers just dominate the game, and I think a lot of it is going to be with Vidal. At least through the first 3 quarters. Let's see if they play much in the fourth. I think it's going to be that type of game. And Vidal's getting in the end zone. I think I like him to score this week too. But, look, the Titans' defense is so bad. Yeah. So bad. So, I love Kimani Vidal. Love DeAndre Swift. I love Bam Knight. All these guys are definitely a green light this week.
Yep, I had Swift on there too. He's just too hot right now. I mean, and the defense is just –
well, that is, and to speak on the Bears' philosophy, I think Ben Johnson's going to want to get establish the run a little bit more against a team like this. Yeah. The Bengals are just letting up anybody run the ball on them. So I think it'll be good for the Bears' offense to really lean on the run and take the ball out of Caleb's hands and kind of let him throw it when he's building more confidence within the offense and. Even playing off script. So I think this is a good game to, kind of get the wheels back on the track for the Bears offense. And I think they do that through DeAndre Swift. Love him this week.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So any other players you like? I know you've mentioned DeAndre Swift. Did you like anyone else?
No, I would say the only kind of sleeper pick I'd throw in there is David Montgomery. I mean, he is obviously better in run heavy when they're up scripts. I think this Detroit team was going to get up big on Minnesota. That's going to lean more to him getting some work in the second half than normally. So,
yeah, absolutely. Maybe somebody that people picked up this week, Tyrone Tracy against the 49ers. I think Tyrone Tracy is very much in play. If you picked him up this week, do not hesitate to put him in the lineup. Travis Etienne taking on the Raiders. I think the Jags in the Raiders game. I think Travis Etienne has a good shot. He's played really good football this season, and I think he continues that this week after they were on a bye week last week. So, I think that's about covers it for green light running backs. Let's move over to red light running backs. Who do we not like this week? Shane, go ahead and start it off.
I'm going with Alvin Kamara. Listen, Alvin, it's not your playing, it's your attitude. The enemy's dangerous, but right now you're worse. Dangerous and foolish. You may not like who you're playing with, but whose side are you on? Right, so there's another quote, Joey, for you. Listen, this is just a tough spot for Kamara. The Rams are just allowing the fewest fantasy points to running backs. They haven't allowed a single rushing touchdown all year. And then just Kamara, like you look at the last 2 weeks, he's been outside of the top 25 running backs, I think it is. He hasn't had any rushing touchdowns since week 1. I don't know what it's going to look like with Tyler Shuck now at quarterback. I don't know if that's worse, if that's better. I don't think it's going to be great for him, especially against that LA defensive line in front. So I'd just benching Kamara. I'd bench him like you brought up. People picking up Tyrone Tracy. Like I would bench him for Tyrone Tracy this week.
Yeah, I would do the same. I would definitely do the same. I just think Tyrone Tracy is just going to be all over the place, and they've been able to run the ball pretty well. So, my red light running back this week is Jordan Mason. This is kind of a no-brainer. I did want to mention it though, in case people are still thinking about starting him. We got Aaron Jones coming back from injury last week, and I thought that was kind of they were going to slow play it, but he was on the field quite a bit, and maybe it could have been game script or whatnot. But this is a full-on committee. On top of that, you're playing the Lions in Detroit. They've only allowed one running back to score over 14 points this year on them. So I just Jordan Mason is on the bench right now until further notice, which may not come as a surprise to some people. But very similarly, Chuba Hubbard as well. Chuba Hubbard at the Panthers. You would normally think these Panthers is a great matchup for running backs. It's just not so much the case. I think they're playing a lot better football defensively, And Chuba Hubbard is just not the guy that you drafted, which seems to be forever ago during draft season, with Rico Dowdle kind of, emerging even with Chuba Hubbard back. I know Chuba came back and was trying to establish himself like, hey, this is still my backfield. And that narrative changed pretty quickly.
Yeah. Coach Steph talked this week about getting more carries for Dowdle. I mean, you just look at the last 2 games, he's doubled him in yards per carry. It's pretty obvious.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm expecting this to really take a turn for the worse for Chuba. Other guys I also like Tony Pollard going against the Chargers. Kenneth Walker. I'm sorry, I don't like them. Kenneth Walker and Tony Pollard. Those are on my red light list as well on the short list.
Yeah, I had Walker. Yeah, I had Walker also. It's very similar to your Chuba Hubbard deal. Like, this is a committee, and Walker doesn't even have the valuable part of the committee. He's not getting any of the goal line touches.
Which is so surprising, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. When I looked at his last 2 games, he's finished as the RB 43 and the RB 33. I mean, this is like, you can pick up guys off of 12 and 14 team waiver wires that are doing better than him.
Absolutely. And, I love Charbonnet. I do. I really do. It just is surprising to me that this is kind of changing. There's a bit of a changing of the guard there in Seattle. So other guys I don't like too. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. People picked him up a while back and were so gung-ho about Bill. And he just hasn't been very good lately, So I'm worried about him against the Seahawks. Seahawks, great defense. And then I think that's about it for running backs. I can move on to wide receivers. All right, Shane, green light wide receivers. Who do we like this week? And is their name Michael Pittman?
That is not, but we are going to start off.
Ain't no Mac, shocker of the week.
Yeah, so I am going with the shocker of DJ Moore. Now listen, DJ, you've been everybody's problem. Every time you've been started, you're unsafe. You haven't been higher finished than wide receiver 29. He's had 4 finishes of wide receiver 40 or worse on the year. But I think this is the week where we have a breakout DJ Moore game. And I'm going to say even probably top 15, but inside the top 20 for sure week for DJ Moore. I think last week he saw a season high in targets. He had a big play at the end. I don't think we're going to see Luther Burden this week, so that helps a little bit more to get a little bit more targets and catches than normally. And, playing this Bengals defense that they literally just gave up 250 receiving yards to the Jets wide receivers, and that was with no Garrett Wilson.
I love what you're talking about here. Okay. This was a great shocker of the week because it shocked me. You see it on my face. What a spooky shocker this week. DJ Moore. I get what you're saying. On Bears Twitter early on in the week, the injury report came out for the weekly, and we saw every single wide receiver that's on our roster was on the injury report. So it was one of those things. Was like, all right, well, who's gonna toughen up and play this week? So, but you're right. I think we might need DJ Moore in a great matchup. Look, he's still a great receiver. Yeah. It's just Caleb's pushing the ball downfield, and that's more of a roam thing. So I hope you're right. I'd love to see it, and I wouldn't doubt it. So I'll trust your judgment on that one. Yeah. I wonder if people dropped him yet, or if they're.
Oh yeah, he was. I've seen him dropped in 2 of my leagues. Yes.
Really?
I saw him dropped in 2. I tried to pick him up this week, and I couldn't get him on waivers. But yeah, he was.
I have yet to see him dropped in a league, although I'm also not really monitoring who's dropped, which is something I need to work on because it's always. A good point, but my green light wide receiver is someone I mentioned in the beginning of the segment, and that was Michael Pittman. Look, Pittman is the start of the week this week at the Steelers. Pittman's having a really good season. He's averaging 16 fantasy points per game. I think he might be a top 10 or top 12 kind of guy, depending if you're in PPR or standard. but PPR is standard. Hopefully everybody is getting on board with that. But he's also scored 20-plus fantasy points in each of his last 2 games. And the Steelers are a juicy matchup. They're allowing the 5th most points per game to wide receivers and the 3rd most points per game to perimeter wide receivers. So Pittman is in line to eat this week. I mean, so is Tyler Warren for that matter. I love the Colts in this game at the Steelers. I just think the Steelers are in line for another loss, and the Colts are just – they haven't shown you anything that would make you think otherwise. Yeah. You know what I mean?
And despite like being the highest spend on defense, this is not your parents' Steelers defense. They are really bad this year.
Yes, this is very true. Yeah. So, anybody else on your list before I rattle off?
Yeah, quick 2 guys I like. I like Khalil Shakir. He leads the team in the Bills in targets. I expect this to be a high scoring. Last year against the Chiefs at home, he finished as a top 15 receiver. And then I like George Pickens. Listen, Pickens in that offense is different at home. I think you will see a similar type finish as kind of like he had in week 2, where he was like the wide receiver, I think 13 or 14. He went for like 5 and 70 and a touchdown. I think you get a similar game and a kind of high scoring game against Arizona.
Yeah, I love those plays as well. Couple guys I got on my list. Marvin Harrison. It kind of goes in line with my Kyler Murray pick. Marvin has been very, how would you say it politely? He's been very bad this year. He's had a couple good games. Almost 90-plus yards. One game with double-digit targets. But I think this is just a great matchup for him at the Cowboys. Cowboys score a lot of points. Cardinals are going to have to score a lot of points in return if they want to win or see the game get going. To make it a good game. But, Marvin Harrison's a great play. DK Metcalf. I think this Colts and Steelers game is a green light game.
Yeah.
You would agree with me there?
Yep, it is. Yep.
Yeah, I'm green lighting Jalen Warren, DK Metcalf, even some tight ends on the Pittsburgh side because Jonnu Smith is always in line for a touchdown randomly. And then Pittman, Taylor, Warren, they're all always in play every week. So just a green light game with those. I do like them. Travis Hunter at the Raiders. I think Travis Hunter is really kind of coming along and being a go-to guy for Trevor Lawrence. Someone that he can trust downfield. And then Tedero and McMillan. I mean, I feel like Ted McMillan is just a staple in my lineup. I don't ever consider sitting him, although I should because I have a very deep wide receiver room. So I can't be married to wide receivers like that. But anyway, Shane, did you have any of those you wanted to mention?
No, I like the Hunter call because we saw before the bye, some people forget, like he had a big increase in snaps, routes, catches, targets in that London game. Brian Thomas Jr., I saw the injury report yesterday. He was wearing a no-contact jersey. He's got a shoulder thing. He is battling. Some of the online docs are saying, maybe some sort of sprained AC shoulder joint. So I think we still will see a big uptick in receiving for Hunter.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right, let's move over to red light wide receivers. Shane, who do you not like this week? Who is on your red light list for week 9?
I would try to get away and try to bench Quentin Johnston. There's multiple things going against him. I mean, we saw he got the really odd goose egg last week. I mean, 0 catches. But even
is it odd?
Well, I mean, based off of what he was doing earlier in the year, not to get 1 catch but I think 2 things and before that he only had 2 catches, but what's working against him is the emergence of Gadsen at tight end. Like that is a legitimate target hog now that he's going to have to deal with. So I just think that, this is going to be a game where you're not going to see very many pass attempts. We may max out at 30 based off of what they can do running the ball and getting a lead. And you'll probably see a concentration of targets that's mostly just McConkey and Gadsden and then a sprinkle of Keenan Allen.
Yeah, I never really bought into the Quentin Johnston, the huge hype train at the beginning of the season. He's just what he does. He'll show up, have a big game, 180 yards, 2 tuds, 3 tuds, and just disappear. And Gadsden looks like he might be here to stay. I mean, Gadsden is just a whole another animal. So, look, you got a lot of mouths to feed in that offense with Keenan and McConkey and Gadsden, and Huge is just on the outs. He is the stepchild of that offense, and I would agree with that. He's not sniffing my starting lineup, nowhere near. I mean, I would need to be in a 20-team league for him to be started. So I love it. My sit of the week. I feel like we mentioned it, but Courtland Sutton at the Texans. I know we mentioned it earlier. The Texans team, and I red light Bo Nix as well, so that kind of goes hand in hand. But Sutton is a bad play this week at the Texans. Jordan Addison at the Lions. I am red lighting Vikings players against the Lions. Surprise in Detroit. I think the Lions dominate that game, so I don't really want to touch anybody other than Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison included. And then, did you have any others you wanted to mention before I rattle off a couple more?
I'd be nervous about Xavier Worthy. Listen, we've seen his catches go down and his yards go down with the emergence of Rice and Travis Kelce getting his. And I don't think people are starting Matthew Golden, but I'm going to go out and say you can drop Matthew Golden for a lot of waiver wire receivers because the talent's there, and you're going to want to hang on to these rookie receivers. Most people do, but listen, now we got Christian Watson back. That's just even more of a mess. At some point, we're going to have Jaden Reed back too. So if there is somebody, do not be afraid to drop Matthew Golden. Don't hang on to him because he's this rookie receiver.
I had a free roster spot in one of my leagues, and I picked him up just because just the chance of something happening. But that chance it's not going to happen. Look, and we talked about this when he got drafted to the Packers. Like, oh wow, you drafted another hodgepodge receiver to put in the mix of guys that are all the same. You don't have an alpha receiver. You thought it would be Watson. He can't stay on the field and get healthy, but now that he is healthy, he looked pretty good that last game. Watson had some deep targets. So, it's just, again, another offense with a lot of mouths to feed, and Tucker Kraft is going to command a target share there, and so is Watson, and so is Dobbs. So I don't think those three guys are really going to take a down tick, and Matthew Golden is going to be an explosive play guy, and if he doesn't get those explosive plays, you're going to be very sad that he was in your lineup. So I agree with that. Another guy on my list, Stefon Diggs. Stefon Diggs versus the Falcons.
Yeah.
He scored a touchdown last week, but still only finished with 10 fantasy points. He scored fewer than 14 points in 3 straight games after having that big game on prime time. Falcons defense is very good. Like, I don't know if you're in tune with what's going on through 9 weeks of fantasy football, but Falcons defense, they're allowing the 5th fewest points per game to wide receivers on the season. So this is a tough matchup.
Yeah,
and
I've been trying to trade Diggs in one of my biggest leagues this week because I was looking at his logs. Here's the concerning thing. He's only in the 50s as far as snaps being played. So he is not out there all the time, even on snaps. His snap percentage and snaps per game, like over the last 4 weeks, has been low. I mean, you're getting Pop Douglas on there. You would think
he'd be in the 70s or the 80s.
I was shocked when I saw that.
Yeah, I haven't looked at that, so that's surprising to me. But yeah, that's worrisome.
Very.
You probably should have dealt him after that big game.
Against Buffalo.
Buffalo, because he looked great that game. I would have bought him if somebody tried to trade him then, but that's you got to have good foresight for that. Other guys I don't like: Deebo Samuel, Christian Watson. Deebo Samuel's taking on the Seahawks. Watson's we talked about the Packers wide receivers, so I think that about does it for me for wide receivers. Ready to move on to tight ends?
Yep, let's go.
All right, why don't you go ahead and start green light tight end, Shane? Who do you got for week 9?
So not mention the obvious guys, like I love Tyler Warren, but and this may be an obvious guy now, but I love Oronde Gadsen. Like I said, like it
might be an obvious guy. He's got 170 yards in 2 games recently.
I think there's a lot of teams I've seen that's got him and some other tight ends, so he's just going to trade one of them. I just think he's like a red zone magnet. I think he's like tied for third or fourth in red zone targets, and he's only been a main starting guy the last 3 weeks.
Yes.
So, but my sleeper tight end of the week, and this is with a injury asterisk. If we don't see Cole Kmet play again, I think this is a potential mini breakout game for Colston Loveland. I think we saw last week with no Kmet that the line wasn't great. I think it was 3 for 38, but his snap count rate was in the 82%. He saw season high in targets and yards. I just think that if we don't see Kmet, this is a great matchup against the Bengals, who've been awful against tight ends. They have allowed 8 TDs to tight ends in their last 4 games. So I think that's just something to watch. You're going to have to watch. I don't want to start him if Kmet's playing, but just watch the injuries.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. If Kmet plays, it'll be hard to start Colston Loveland, but his breakout game is coming.
It has to, right?
It very much is. He has the ability to score multiple touchdowns. If Caleb finds him, if he finds a rhythm in the offense, maybe that is what Caleb's missing is the go-to guy in the middle of the field like that. So I love the call. But yeah, I mean, all the mainstay tight ends are obviously loved. Tucker Kraft, Sam Laporta, Tyler Warren, Gadsden. I like Kyle Pitts too. I mean, Kyle Pitts has been great. Last week he had a very big volume in that offense with Kirk Cousins. Did you see Kirk Cousins requested a trade?
Yes, to somebody where he's going to start, and I'm like, where is that? I mean, New Orleans isn't going to bring you in to start over Shuck. So I don't know where that is, buddy, but I mean, good luck.
Yeah, I just Kirk Cousins, he's a funny guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are all of our green light tight ends this week. Red light tight ends, I'll just rattle off a couple because I don't have much to add here. But Dalton Kincad, he put up a stinker last week. He was also limited to just 14 snaps on 13 routes after coming back from injury. The Chiefs' defense has been really good against tight ends, so I'd stay away from him. Another guy I don't like this week is Hunter Henry. We talked about him last week. He needs to continue to stay on the bench and even the waiver wire. Can't trust Hunter Henry. But, Shane, who do you got for red light tight ends this week?
Boom shakalaka! Boom shakalaka!
Boom shakalaka? Boom shakalaka, huh?
Double boom shakalaka. Those were the 2 guys I have immediately, so little inside my process is, Monday and Tuesday, I just start jotting down guys when I see the schedule. And immediately I had Kincad and Henry down. And then I'd start looking for little tidbits and stuff. And so with Kincad, he's never gone over 50 yards or ever had a touchdown against the Chiefs. And then Hunter Henry is he's like this roller coaster of a tight end.
Just get him off my team.
Yeah, you don't want to mess with that. And people would be like, "Oh, he scored last week. That's great." But do people realize that was his only target and only catch of the game, and that was for I think 8 yards.
Yeah,
it's just Drake May spreads the ball out way too much, and for some reason, this Falcons defense is really good against tight ends like that. They've given up the fewest yards to tight ends this year. So, yeah, those were the 2 slam dunk benches. And I think people are going to start. If we were to look at their start percentage next week, I bet it's pretty high.
Yeah. I mean, that's something cool we can include as well. Maybe guys were red lighting if they have take a look at their start percentage prior to the recording and kind of jot that down because I think that's important as well. Look. 60% of people are still starting this guy. What are you guys doing? Having some numbers to back up the red lights, I think, is good. Other guys I don't like, Evan Ingram. Again, it's just a red light game with the the Texans and the Broncos. I don't like TJ Hawkinson, another red light team with the Vikings, and Juwan Johnson. I just it's going to be tough sledding for some of these tight ends this week. So, yeah, Dalton Schultz again. I don't need to mention Dalton Schultz because I talked about the red light game. I got to I'm talking to myself, reminding myself that I talked about the red light game. So can't red light everybody and mention them all at the same time. So, but yeah, I think that about does it, Shane. That's our red light, green light week 9. I think we got some great football coming up week 9. I'm excited. That Bills and Kansas City Chiefs game is going to be great. Who do you got in that one? Who do you think wins? The regular season champs in the Bills or the postseason champs in the Chiefs?
I think the Bills find a way to do it, and then I think they will ultimately lose in the playoffs to them at some point in time. So
yeah, just a repeat. Just you're talking about another repeat. I am calling it now. I think it's going to be flip-flopped. I think this is the year. Okay, so Porter Hobson, I'm riding with you. The Chiefs are going to win this week, and they're going to knock off the Bills. And then in the playoffs, sorry, Porter, the Bills are going to knock off the Chiefs and send them home finally once and for all. So that's my call. But what do I know? Not much. I just got my nails painted, which, by the way, is it's a lot harder to do than I would have imagined. So, Caleb, I don't know if I'm sure Caleb has a nail technician that probably does his nails. He probably doesn't do it himself.
No.
Maybe he enjoys doing it himself, but I did not like doing this. I also had a hard time picking out the color. I was like in the aisle and I'm like, is this the right color? I said, what am I doing? Just give me the color. I need to stop doing that.
Close enough.
So now I got to go take this nail polish off before I go back to work. All right, Shane, I had fun. I'm glad we could do this, and happy Halloween to everybody out there. Stay safe, trick-or-treating, and all that fun stuff. Shane, have you started watching Welcome to Derry?
No, I have not seen Welcome to Derry. I did not. I just finished up Chad Powers.
I'm watching that right now.
I'm
watching that right now. It's a good one. It's a lot better than I thought.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Did you watch all the other It movies, like the new ones that came out recently with It 1 and It Chapter 2?
No, I have not.
Oh, the scary movies. You know
Okay.
It, right?
Yeah. But no, I have not seen them.
Which one did you see? Did you see the one back in the 90s?
Yes. But I haven't seen anything new. Yeah.
So there was over the last couple of years, I'm sure it was everywhere. It was a very big, popular movie. They remade It, and they did a movie when they were kids, and then Chapter 2 when they're adults. Those movies are really good. You should check them out. But they have a series now that's set in like the 1960s, where It is terrorizing kids in the 60s and stuff like that. So the reason I say that is because the opening scene, the first like 10 to 15 minutes, is wild. And you once you watch it, I'm sure you're going to be messaging me on Slack because I couldn't believe what I was watching. So with that, I will sign us out. Everybody, go check out Welcome to Derry and enjoy the first 15 minutes. Buckle up, everybody.